I didn't get to go for a ride in the last C10 we did with the LT5. Everyone was raving about how awesome the motor was. My first reaction to the LT5, and first time I'm driving our standard height spec chassis. Let's see what she does. Oh, it gets up and goes pretty damn good. Drift's pretty good. Get the rear end to step out if you want to. Super smooth and controllable, one hand on the wheel, sliding out in the first turn. So our standard height spec chassis is something a little bit newer, something a lot of guys don't know about. And this is really the chassis for the guys that want a true bolt-on and don't want to have the truck sitting on the ground or sitting really low and doing all the modifications that come with that. So our slam spec chassis, you're gonna get about a 4.5 to 5 inch ride height out of that. A super low, super aggressive. If that's the look you're going for, you got to, I guess, pay the price to be cool a little bit. There's a decent amount of floor modifications, a trans tunnel. You got to raise the inner fenders, raise the bed floor. Pretty standard stuff across the board when you want a truck to sit that low. On the flip side, there's a lot of guys that don't want that stance and they don't want to go through all that work. That was kind of the inspiration for our stock height spec chassis. So we did a higher ride height that will bolt underneath the truck with no floor modifications, no inner fender modifications, and no rear wheel tub modifications. It's going to be a higher ride height. You're sitting about 8.5 to 9 inches off the ground. It is as low as the truck can go before the rear axle would end up going through the bed floor. So that is really our limiting factor on the ride height. We wanted to make it with no modifications for a real simple bolt-on process. This one has the massive 10-speed automatic that fit underneath the stock trans tunnel. No modifications to the rear of the cab. We did smooth the firewall a little bit on this one just for looks. We re-radiused the inner fenders just around the upper control arms just to close that out a little bit more, give it a little bit more of a finished look to it. Not necessary, but just a little detail that we like to add. Rear of this truck with the LT5, making the big horsepower, we wanted to get a bigger tire underneath there, so we did mini tub the rear. We didn't raise the height of the tubs, we just split them, widened them. Did that so we can fit a 12-inch 335 tire on the back, help attempt to put some of the power to the ground. This chassis is equipped with our single adjustable Fox SV coilovers. Really recommend going with the single adjustable on every build. It allows you to fine tune and really dial in the ride quality and the performance to each vehicle. Every truck is different. You could build 100 different C10s and every one of them is going to be a little bit different on where you put the weight, on just the overall weight of the truck, and then how everybody wants their truck to ride. You can really dial these things in from super smooth and compliant, then stiffen up the adjustment and get it a lot more firm and kind of more of a sport feel to it. So you get a very wide range of ride quality in a single coilover. All it is just getting underneath there and turning the knob on the shock to firm or soften the ride quality. So I will say out of the gate, this thing is extremely smooth. Very tame and mild-mannered to drive. You would really have no idea it's got that kind of horsepower until you put your foot into it. Cool part about some of these newer supercharged LS and LT motors, you can make the big horsepower and still have something that's incredibly smooth and drivable for a daily driver. The ride quality on this is really incredible. Coming up on some train tracks here. Best ride quality test. Just fly over these at 30 miles an hour. and super smooth. You got a little bit longer control arm on the standard height spec chassis. That's really to get the front track width out wider. As we raised the truck up, we wanted to get the right proportions on the front wheel lip, so you didn't have a massive backspace on there, but that also gives you a little bit longer swing rate and gives it a little bit smoother shock. Braking on this truck is handled through some BAER 14-inch 6-piston brakes. They're Pro-Plus series. Awesome brake for this application. I think it's paired with a Detroit Speed booster and master combination. Plenty of stopping power for the 650 horsepower, so you have some confidence when you get in it that you're gonna have plenty of brakes there. Staying with the standard height spec chassis gives the truck a little bit more of a classic look, and we really wanted to pair the wheel and tire combo with that. So went with a set of our RS5 5-spoke kind of traditional wheels. We work with Forgeline in designing this RS5 wheel, kind of a modern take on the traditional 5-spoke mag from back in the 50s and 60s. Really fits the timeless look, but a little bit more updated. You get the availability of the different sizes, the different backspaces, and the caliper clearance that you really need when running these big brakes and trying to package the most wheel and tire underneath a car or truck. We went with 20s and 19s on this truck. Again, keeping it a little bit more traditional, didn't want the big 22s. 20s and 19s are on the bigger side, but they really fill out the wheel opening, especially paired with a larger sidewall tire. So we've got a 345/30/20 on the back and a 295/30/19 on the front. So we got plenty of sidewall, kind of keeps that traditional look, and also fills up the big wheel openings on these trucks. This thing just rides so smooth going down the road. The LT5 and the 10-speed are absolutely awesome, super tame. This thing's changing gears constantly. You barely even feel any gear shifts. So on this truck and a lot of our other Survivor Series builds, we've been spending more and more time on all the noise, vibration, and harmonics, and really trying to kind of sound deaden and heat proof these old cars. And we've been working with DEI a lot, and they've got a great host of products that change the interior dynamics of these vehicles. So we're using their boom mat pretty much everywhere we can inside the vehicle. It's a great sound deadening and eliminates a lot of vibration. Underneath the truck, we're using their trans and tunnel shield above the trans and around the exhaust. Really reflect the heat, keep it from coming up through the floor. And that's a huge difference in these cars when you can keep the heat out of them. We also wrap the exhaust in their heat wrap. Again, help kind of mitigate whatever heat we can. And it really proves to be a huge change after driving some stuff we built, 7-8 years ago, and then getting into a newer build. It's just a world of difference in what we've done mitigating all that heat and noise inside the cab. Over the years, we've really kind of narrowed down a core list of components that we know works. Everything we're doing now is getting a CNR radiator, big spall fan that's PWM controlled, so it's ramping up or down with the demand of the cooling system. This one, I believe we've got our ultimate headers on there that we offer for all of the chassis. They do a full tube and a mid-length header that we've sourced to really fit in all of our chassis. Picking out exhaust and headers is one of the hardest parts of a build, and there's really no standard for it. We work with a couple companies to build a product that fits our chassis and takes the guesswork out of it for our customer. Rest of the exhaust is a 3-inch stainless that we fab in-house. We use Borla mufflers. They provide a great low, mellow sound when driving around, so you can actually hear me talking right now. But when you put your foot into it, they really open up and let everyone know there's something underneath the hood. We use a set of vibrant performance resonators at the back of the exhaust system, and then we've been incorporating our Helmholtz resonator that everybody seems to comment on, wondering what the hell it is whenever we post a picture. But that is basically an expansion tube that allows the exhaust gases somewhere to go, minimizes all the drone and internal resonation in the car. Gauges on this are the Dakota Digital RTX series. Perfect fit of the modern amenities and kind of nostalgic traditional look. Awesome gauges, they work every time. Very programmable, a ton of features, and they look awesome. Yeah, I'm absolutely floored by how smooth this trans is. Just standing out off the line, we were banging gears. We're in 8th gear right now. Barely felt it even shift once. Not the old school kind of 4L60, 700 R4, where you feel the lag in between each gear. and then it's banging gears and chirping the tires. This is just smooth, don't even know that it's changing. Awesome transmission to drive, and it's always kind of in the right gear. It's not hunting. You just kind of, from a roll, put your foot into it, and it just takes off and accelerates. Other interior components, we're running a I Did It steering column, vintage air, another standard component for us. They make a great retrofit for these C10s and a lot of other vehicles to use the original heat or AC controls, so you don't have to kind of have a modern take on what could be there. Just goes right into the stock location, and if you want to keep your dash original looking or use original era components, it's got that look for you. Dave over at Vintage Stitch did a killer job on the interior on this one. Again, kind of keep it era appropriate, but just a little bit modern, a little bit more nicer take on what the original could have been. Since we left the exterior of the truck all original, we didn't want to get too carried away and too wild on the interior. Stuck with the original seat, chopped it all up, give it a little bit more bolster, a little bit more comfort, thinned out the back so you can get a little bit more leg room in the truck as well. Very important in these C10s. They're not very big vehicles, and they don't leave a whole lot of room to begin with, so every inch you can pick up really makes a world of difference. So this truck has the wood grain trim on the outside. We carried that theme over into the inside with some custom wood grain inlays, and then laser cut some stainless bezels around the door to just kind of finish that off. One of the areas the C10s are generally lacking is a place to put stuff. So we fabbed up a sheet metal center console here, 2 cup holders, a little stash pocket up front, machined a billet bezel to house the ZL1 Camaro shifter, and then 2 power window switches. Again, just add some creature comforts and some necessity into these trucks. Going on road tours, you want a spot to put all your stuff, and now we've got that. Truck is built for John Spears of Speartech. We've been working with Speartech for quite some time on our wiring harnesses for our LS and LT packages. They also sell the complete engine trans packages, kind of a ready-to-run deal. Takes all the guesswork out for the guy trying to piece all that stuff together. Great product. Again, we wouldn't be using them if they didn't work. The cool part about this LT5 and 10-speed, we're cruising at 35 miles an hour right now in 7th gear. Put the pedal down, it'll just find a gear and go. I think acceleration and brakes are absolutely awesome on this truck. Killer combo for a daily driver, something you want to take on road tours, or just a hot rod you want to have fun with on the weekend. It kind of checks all the boxes: ride quality, performance, smooth, comfortable, and of course puts the power down and takes off like a rocket when you want to. Bye, Tesla. All right, pulling up the stoplight next to a Tesla. This is gonna be a little sleeper battle right here. As long as I can get this thing to hook up, I should be able to put a couple car lengths on them. Put that electric vehicle debate to an end here real quick. A little boost here. Ah. He was not happy with you. Yellow. Put the beans to it. All right, 1 can of baked beans coming up.
Got the tires nice and close to the edge.
So I don't want to end up with a good YouTube video of going through a fence or into the side of the building.